Yeah, that was. Yeah, that might have been back in the days when. Now they call it what do they call it now? Um, when you put a pill in somebody's drink or something.
Yeah.
What, roofies.
Yeah.
We didn't have roofies then, but I think there was called. Geez, there was another sleeping pill. What was it called? Eric, you remember? The white.
Sleeping.
Halcyon.
Halcyon. Yeah.
It was that was a drug that the pilots. It was in and out of your system quick. So pilots on these overseas flights would be flying, 18, 20-hour flights. They could because they had to take a nap or obviously in sleep or something. They could prescribe this pill. It would help them sleep for 6 hours or something, but it would be out of your system. It was, in and out of your system, so you wouldn't see the effects of it later. The rockers loved those Halcyons, man. They freaking, boom, they dropped them on all the broads, and then they get them back to their room, and then they'd be passed out, and they'd probably take their laundry off, and they'd have a good time with them, and they'd throw them out in the hallway and shit naked. Yeah, so needless to say, they got in trouble in a few hotels, and that's what got them fired, because the hotels called the office, because they found all these, they kept finding naked girls in the hallway.
I get self-conscious.
One of the most eye-opening parts of the Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring was the mention of Halcyons. Halcyons is a date rape-like drug that was mentioned by RVD as a drug that the boys would use to essentially drug women. The way that RVD casually mentions this drug was shocking, and after many people began to do research, it's now come out that Marty, Janetty, and Shawn Michaels may have been into this sort of thing as well. This comes from a Brutus the Barber Beefcake interview where he claims that the Rockers used to drug women, have their way with them, and then leave them laying passed out in the hallways of the hotels they were staying at. Marty Janetty is not one to shy away from controversy. The past couple of years with him almost finding himself in jail for claims of murder after making a post on Facebook saying that one time he made a man disappear. And Shawn is no stranger to his drug-induced past as well. Shawn has seemingly reformed himself the last 15 to 20 years, reveling in this wholesome Christian image. But if this truly happened 30 to 40 years ago, then surely the damage is already done. This isn't really the sort of thing you can come back from. Not that there would be any way to prove any of this, obviously. I think the real problem is the overall compliance to all of this. These stories I've been reading on H-bombing have been giving me real Harvey Weinstein vibes. Many in Hollywood covered up Harvey's scandal for years, refusing to say anything, and I 100% think this is the same situation in the pro wrestling business as well. So many wrestlers knew about this but didn't do anything. I mean, even Rob Van Dam is on this boat. I know that they didn't want to lose their jobs, but they looked the other way as women were raped. It really makes you wonder how many wrestlers knew about this back in the day and did nothing about it. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig was the man who started the H-bombing prank, apparently where he would put the pill in someone's drink, causing them to pass out. I don't think drugging someone is a very good joke at all, honestly, but the fact that Kurt Hennig had such a familiarity with Halcyons to the fact that he just started drugging people as a joke kind of makes you think that if he would have done this to his friends, why wouldn't he have done this to a woman as well? This Dark Side of the Ring episode has opened a whole case of worms on the pro wrestling business, and unfortunately I think people will probably get tired and move on eventually. People technically knew about the Plane Ride from Hell for a long time, and only after it was broadcast on national television is something being done about it. That seems to always be the story when it comes to abuse.
No, just the fact that there was, on the hallway that they were in, it was actually in the Marriott in Los Angeles, there was fucking blood, like, smeared on the hallway. Like, when you get up in the morning, you're like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? What the fuck happened? Because, I mean, I remember one time we had this, me and Tigger, that was sitting, this goth girl came and sat down next to us. It was in that same hotel. And the boys fucking gimmicked her. Hit her with H-bombs, which is Halcyon. which is actually, I mean, people have used that as a legal excuse to fucking murder their families. You know, well, it's on Halcyon. Oh, fuck, I'm not guilty. So, but I know that it happened after, because I was told the story. But I knew in my mind that she would remember sitting with me and Mark. So I come down that morning, and I got my bags, and I turn around the corner, and she's crying. Got a police officer on both sides of her. She had black hair about down here one length. She's bald from here over. She has one side of fucking hair. And I fucking backed around the corner. There's a downward way. You can go down one more floor and you can get out the side of the Marriott that's below the actual, where the
lobby is.
Yeah. You just like the wrestler escape route.
Yeah.
So I called Take, and I said, Take, I said, fucking, I said, that black-haired girl that we were with, I said, fuck, I said, I don't know who fucking buzzed her, man, but she's up in the lobby right now with 2 fucking cops. I said, if you're fucking guy, I said, you know, definitely send somebody else to get your car. I said, you know, he said, okay, got you, big man, cool, thanks.
Kevin Nash says in this video that the boys gimmicked her. Kevin Nash doesn't seem like a bad guy, I'm not gonna lie, but even Kevin Nash is outing himself in this interview by being so casual about the boys quote-unquote gimmicking her. This seems like it was just such a regular thing back in the day that nobody even treated it like it was a big deal. Even The Undertaker seemed to have knowledge of this after receiving a call from Kevin Nash telling him to avoid the place because police were there. I try to look at things from a positive point of view. I know wrestling is a hard business, and if you do or say anything wrong to stir the pot, you could lose your job. But it's just so sickening and sad that so many wrestlers just look the other way on all of this. I don't feel like I'm wrong in saying this. Just comparing this to Harvey Weinstein, it's literally the same thing. This is the question you have to ask yourself. Is ignoring the abuse as bad as partaking in it? Maybe Undertaker, Kevin Nash, RVD, maybe they never drugged women, but if they knew about it, they were compliant with it. And it makes you wonder how many wrestlers over the past 30 years were compliant with something like this. And I'm not out to slander these wrestlers. RVD was one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day, as well as Shawn Michaels, and of course Ric Flair was. I'm just trying to view things from an unbiased point of view because I am a wrestling fan at the same time, but I also believe in justice and that justice should be brought against people like this. I hate the SJW agenda, and I don't think people should be so tore up about words that people use and get upset so easily. But I do think the SJW agenda is powerful in one way, and that's consistency. Black Lives Matter was out there for over a year protesting the George Floyd incident. That's some consistency we never see on any issue. I think the problem with this sexual abuse issue in wrestling is that people turn a blind eye from it and just move on when they get bored. That seems to be a problem with most things in general. The attention span of America is at an all-time low. They even said in the Dark Side interview that WWF changed their name to WWE a day after. Well, that sure put the whole incident under the rug. I feel like more and more stories will come out disguised as comedic retellings of incidents. Eventually the truth will come out, and hopefully there will be at least one good person left standing after all is said and done. What do you think about these recent incidents in wrestling? Are you a fan of any of these wrestlers? Leave a comment and thank you for watching.